in North America, but when we ended that, he said, "Come here." The thing is that in 2 days we have to be in Cairo, so uh, we will make it. So we are exactly in the opposite side of the world, but it's only 12 hours of difference. So, yeah, only just 12 hours. So I don't know, we'll survive, but it's for 11:11. Yeah. So well, actually, when this was not supposed to be done, I guess, like it was not something programmed to share something specific. So as always, usually, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And I like that way, so I can flow and we can go through whatever you want to go, basically. So that's why most of the time I would like for you to make some questions, but I will try to make an introduction so everyone are on the same page. Um, well, the first time, thank you, Kader, for this invitation here. Shelly. Thank you. Um, we're 10 people, yeah, of course. So I think that Gaia did the difference. And me speaking English. Because, of course, I used to speak a lot of Spanish. Um, because I thought that no one would listen to me in English. And I had no idea that all the people in English were asking, but I had no clue. So most of the people for sure knows me because of Gaia, I guess. Really? Who knows me from before that? Okay. Um, Great. So the people that knows me only from Gaia, I should say I did a bunch of weird stuff before. Um, and which is not to stare on a camera. And and, um, and so I don't know if you know the idea. So first of all, I would like to know if there is someone that has no clue or anything that I am, why I'm here, besides explaining dimensions and all these things. There's anyone that doesn't know anything of what I do or what I have done before. Good. Okay. You what? Okay. Thank you. So, um, so just would say I'm from Argentina, the south, um, and basically, well, I was born in the 1987 in August, and in that moment was supposed to be an alignment for the download of new people. For sure, some of you have been working for that to happen. So hi, they work. Um, so thank you. Some of the people that we came from that time, from August, we that year we came to kind of do restore of some connections in the planet through memory. So remembering all the past legacy from other lives and also from for the future. So my goal was to be kind of a rememberer, but not a rememberer that remembers past lives. So most of the people thinks that I just came here because I remember my past life, but we all do somehow. So that's not new. That's something that we all do. Um, Besides remembering, there are two other parts of the word remember that has that is part of my mission, which is the first one is remembering, which is to remember stuff from the past and other dimensions, remember things that I did before I was born. And the second one is to remember, which means to put the numbers together. That's the origin of the word remember. So it means that all the things that were separated must be reconnected again. So concepts, ideas, places, people, So all of that must be remembered, okay? Which is the connection with the network of the planet, which is not only my task. We are thousands doing this, but I end up here, so whatever. I end up explaining things that others do. So, that remembering. And the third one, in English doesn't have sense, but in Latin it has, which is recordis. Recordis, recordar in Spanish and all Latin languages, means to come back to the heart. That's what remember, the translation of remembering is in Latin, to go back to the heart. So the center, the core. Um, and of course, when we speak about coming back to the heart, we all think like, but for the universe, it's not For the universe, it's more systematic. Like you have a torus, you have a sphere, so the only point of reference of a sphere is the core. So you have to go back to the core to see the whole sphere. Basically, it's systematic, but we put spirituality and poetry into beauty, into that. So I am also like a kind of a magic healer sometimes. That's what my friend says. Because when I try to explain the things in a neutral way, so I try to put all the things that I can explain in a way that doesn't have a religious tradition or that, so we could take only the essence of the information, and then you can put whatever you want on the top. Like is having this is the map of the system, and then you can take the path you want and go wherever you want and use whatever you need to put it on the top and choose the way you want to live that. So basically, one of the things that I always love to say is that I hadn't come to this planet to say the truth. I have come to this planet to explain what I saw from the truth, which means that anything that I will say is the actual truth. It's just what I saw from my perspective traveling through here, what was the truth. So it's impossible for someone to explain the real truth. It's impossible because we are all dots in a sphere. So no one can see the whole unless you go to the core and feel everything. But for that, we have to get all remembered, all reconnected, so we can have the whole picture, basically. So that's why I started to share my point of view with my psychologist when I was 12. and she didn't get it. So I had to go to the psychiatrist. He didn't also. Um, so so the thing is that, but I was lucky that my family was not religious. So I don't have anything against religion, but I was born in a space that they didn't believe in anything. Like, likes, how do you call it? How do you say, laico? They didn't believe in anything. Agnostic. No atheist, but because they were not against God, but they said what? So yeah, so they didn't care basically. So it was good because everything that I remember for them was an artistic mind. So that's art. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, what imagination. So I had no that background, and my school was also no religion at all. It was work in the fields. So it was all earth, ground, water, and cow shit. So it was all grounded and nothing related to the spirituality. So everyone was listening to me like, oh, that's fun, that's good. I don't know. Nice story. So I grew up in an environment that I could tell whatever I had inside, and there was no judgment because it was all creative for them. Until, of course, I started to have these missions in my mind and all the things that I was supposed to do around the planet, remembering all these things. So basically, that got me a few problems until I started to meet the people that said, "Oh, what you are telling to me, I have been trying to understand it in all these books. So you are making a summary of that for me to understand." And that was my third psychologist who said that, like, "Oh, you're just doing a summary of all these books. So have you read all this?" I have no clue. I never. I just read 3 books in my life, and it was because the school obligated me. Um, so they explained me all. They said, he said, she said. So this is what I was trying to understand. So that took me to a path that people wanted to listen what I remembered, because it was clarifying what they already knew. It was not something new. It's something that, oh, I remember that, but I had no clue how to put it on a line or on a frame so I could understand it. So what I was doing was not telling new things, it was telling old things, but organized in a different way. Um, so that took me to be here, basically, to explain all these things. And also because I was born Leo, so that's why I don't care to be here talking to people. Of course, I'm Italian Argentinian. So we are known by talking many nonsense things for hours. So this is basically why I ended up doing this. And suddenly, in 2012, 2011, I was called to do the missions around the world, around the planet, working throughout the planet in every one of the nodes and connections and portals of the planet. And I was doing all this since 2012. Many people said we have been many years doing this and connecting places and going to sacred places, and say, yeah, we have to keep doing it. That's something that some people were telling me. Why to do this again if for thousands of years we have been trying to do this and the world is still like weird and all that. So we have to remember that the planet or the universe is like a house. So it's not that you clean the house once and then that's it. You say, "Oh, I cleaned the house, so that's it." No, the dust is coming, so the house gets dirty, so you have to clean. And sometimes different people comes to help how to clean the house or reorganize and put some furniture in your house and change the furniture or these kind of things. So the planet is like that. It's not that someone comes and does everything and the house is perfect. You have to maintain a house, clean and all that. So that's why eventually every century or every thousands of years, a lot of new people comes to reorder the house, and that's it. So nothing new, nothing special. The only reason why it's special is because we are alive. That's the only reason. And also we have internet, um, which is easier to do it now. So so the thing is that through all this path, what I learned is that what we are doing is reconnecting the whole pattern of the planet, reconnecting something that is missing. And I have heard a lot of people saying that we are doing this because we are heading to the fifth dimension, or because we are about to transcend to a new reality, or this kind of things that are like trying to tell us that we are in a very important moment, that the whole planet will be in peace soon or something like that. And I've heard this since, I don't know, 15,000 years ago, every 10 years. And people get older and die, and a new story comes and it's the same thing. So I was asking the planet when I was traveling to the different places, why are we doing this actually? Because we are here. Why? Um, because we have to make this jump to the fifth dimension. Because what do we have to do, or what is our goal? And 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 basically in every spot of the planet, the question was, what's the goal? So what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. Are we heading somewhere? We have to. I don't know. Where do you want to go? And it was like, I don't know, because we are just trying to reconnect everything so we can transcend. And he said, oh, you mean evolution? It's like, yeah, of course, that's eternal, and so you can do it, but it will never end. So what are we doing exactly? So basically, the planet said, well, you're just talking words and ideas about a system that has been working for millions of years and that worked perfectly, which is biology. So if you want to understand what is eternity and what's the goal of all this, you shouldn't ask the spirit. You should ask yourselves. So let's go to the cells to ask the bodies what is the goal. And basically they said, well, you have to have a big picture of all this. And this is something that I have been sharing for the last 5 years with most of the people, and I want to go once and again on this, which is that everything that we have built through our spirituality has been according to how we lived biologically. And everything that we feel, expect, believe is only related to what we have lived in our history, not with something outside from the planet, but from within the planet. Also, one of the ideas that we have is that we live in a planet that we call Earth. And that's funny because we have never come out from this planet. So if you go out from this planet, you can see that we are the planet. We are not on the planet, we are the planet. Which brings us to the idea that humans are not living in planet Earth. Planet Earth evolved into thinking. So neurons start to evolve to think about who they are. Exactly as a kid can observe himself in a mirror and saying, I am this, or this is my name. So the planets start to say, oh, this is me. I'm wondering, who am I? So millions of cells of neurons start to evolve into humanity to ask, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? So every culture is a thought in a planet. Every idea is a thought of Mother Earth. And every human is a neuron doing synapses, connecting to each one of the others, creating more thoughts and more ideas. So it's not that humanity lives on the planet, it's that the planet starts to think. And it was recent. It was just a few billions of years ago. So the planet started to think, and all the planet was saying, you should not think as beings that came from the stars, that are not from this world, and are trying to come back to the stars. You have to think of yourself as cells of an organism, a living organism, that is the entire universe. You are living as DNA code inside of a cell that is part of a body that we call the galaxy and part of a society that we call the universe. But we are just the DNA codes. And each one of us has a specific code to awaken a potential. So we have to be ourselves in order to awaken the potential for the universe. And it's not about going to the universe, it's about realizing that we are the ones that make the universe possible. Because is the mind the only one that can allow something to exist? So it's the synapse, it's the idea of data. It's not someone thinking, is data sharing information. That's the whole picture of the universe. 0, 1. And then the 1 said 1, 1. 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. And they start to multiply all this data and share this data. So from every dimension is all data and information being shared until we have created, the universe has created beings able to think about themselves. So it's like the sum of the evolution trying to understand the same system that was created. It's like a kid that has been designed in a womb of the mother and has lived a life thinking about itself, like who am I? And trying to think about itself all the time until it discovers who the kid is. So to understand who the kid is, it must accomplish a great network of information and data to have the whole picture, the whole thing. So what the whole universe is trying to do is to create as many points of view as possible to have the greatest picture of all. And that's why we cannot think the same thing. We should have all different perspectives of the same truth in order to have a big amount of data. So the thing is not to discover what is the truth, is about how we can connect all the truths. Because that's the goal of the entire universe, basically, is to connect everything to say, oh, I am all this. Basically, that's the whole point. Oh, I am all this. So what can I do with this? I create something different. I can do whatever. A new universe multiplied by billions of universe or whatever. So when all these years I have been traveling the world, and the planet was kind of answering all the time, is biology. So the question was, is there a spirit? And we said, yes, is biology. Biology is the system that has been designed by the spirit. And what is spirit? I don't know if you know, but spirit, the etymology of the word spirit comes from Latin and means spirare, that means to breathe. So all those who breathe are spiritual beings. That's what they say. So if you breathe, you are a spirit. So the universe said that the old tradition said that the universe is constantly breathing. In Atlantean times, we call it ham, het, hum. The inhalation, ham, hold the breath, contemplation, het, and then hum, exhalation, the creation. So the entire universe was the whole universe. It's just this idea of something that is moving. So it's vibration. It's constantly moving. It's the constant vibration. And so they said, if everything is vibrating, it has data. It has spirituality. So everything that comes from that breathing would be spiritual. So actually, we in our reality have been doing something that was dividing the concepts of unity to understand them, because we have only one data and we have to split it to understand the parts. But when we split them, we thought that they were different things. But it's just like one tree that you say, oh, this is a leaf, this is a fruit, this is a seed, this is a branch, this is the trunk, this is the root, but all of that is the tree. But we started to believe that they are different parts and we call them differently. But actually it was just like this idea of the universe being only one being that said, what if I observe myself so I can create a second one? So from the within to the outside, it creates the negative and the positive. And that's the origin of observation, contemplation. But then it has to experience the negative and the positive. So it creates a third point of view that helps the universe to understand itself. So it can experience the whole process between the negative and the positive, the within and the outside. And that's what we call the third point of view. So the third is what we call the Trinity, or we can call it the Holy Trinity, because all in reality has been created because of this main pattern, which is this. So because of this, the universe said, okay, we are unity, but the only way I can experience unity is by duality. And duality can help me understand the unity through Trinity, which is the experience of this. And they said, let's put something more to this, which is the integration of all these concepts. So it creates a fourth one, creating the structure that gives sense to the entire universe, which is the tetrahedron. You know, the tetrahedron is a geometrical shape. So tetrahedron is this geometrical structure that gives meaning to all this. So the universe basically says we are all one, split in three, in order to understand ourselves. So we call this high, depth, and weight in the third dimension. In the fourth dimension, we call this past, present, and future. They don't exist. None of that exists. It's just point of view. It's just different perceptions of the reality, because we need them to understand something with a complete point of view. So in the third dimension, we have wide, high, and depth, just to perceive this and to be able to enjoy this reality. And we organize that in past, present, and future. But for the universe, this doesn't make any sense because it's all one. It's a circle. It's all one. So this unity of I am the whole, I am the one, makes us understand that this is the divine, this is God, this is everything. But each one of these three parts must be different because we can understand it in parts. So we call the inside the spirit, then we call this one the body, and this one the soul, for example. So we started to believe in our concepts of things that these are three different things and they are separated. But actually, we can call it vibration that creates energy that manifests matter. So this is the other point of view of this Trinity. So does matter exist? Not really, because it's just energy that is being perceived by the third dimension. But it doesn't really exist. It's just a perception. So does energy exist? Well, in some dimensions it does, but actually everything is vibration, and energy is just a perception of the vibration. And what is vibration? It's basically that it doesn't exist. Basically is the idea that we have between the positive and the negative. And does the positive and negative exist? Oh no, of course not. Because it's just a point of view. So actually, you can understand now that these three things are not different. They're just a continuation, constant of time and space to understand who we are. So when we understand that, we will see that our bodies are just the continuity of our energy, and our energy is just the continuity of our vibration, which means that our body is the perfect design of our soul. The soul is not coming inside the body for the body to be alive. The body exists because the soul started to vibrate in a different resonance, so it can be manifested. And the same thing with the soul. The soul is not something separate from the spirit. Basically, the soul is the memory of the spirit, which is constantly breathing in, breathing out all the time. Is the expansion of vibration. So all the energy, the souls, comes from here. So it is so difficult to understand the whole when you are in a dimension like this one, that we have to split all the parts so we can get it. But then we start to believe that the parts are important. So this would be the members of unity. So this would be remembering. Okay. So when we say remember, is let's remember our history. But once we remember our history, physical history, we have to remember our soul, the energy. So we start to remember past lives, histories from other dimensions, other realities. So it's just remembering this line here that is within us constantly. And then we start to remember our spirit, which is connecting to the higher self, which is not something separated, it's just another point of view of myself. The funny thing of this is fractals, which is so awesome, that allow the universe to make many of us, of course. So it says, okay, if I ended with this experience, so I can have another one. Okay, and then I can create another one, and maybe another one. So I start to manifest a different reality. And this is one being, this is another being, this is another being. Something that at first time we call Merkaba. Okay? In many dimensions. Oh, that thing. So that's easier. So you had a tetrahedron down, tetrahedron up. And the whole idea was to understand that there's a positive aspect to manifest and a negative aspect to manifest. The negative aspect would be the vibration, energy, and matter. And the subtle aspect would be wisdom, would be will, and love. Okay, so these three attributes of the being. So we have a base here of these three: energy, matter, vibration. And then we have above love, will, and wisdom, with a positive point of view and a negative point of view. So this symbol represents the element of fire. Fire is the spark of the spirit, the one that says that's how it begins, that allows the inhalation and the exhalation, the spirit. So we call that the flame. So how do we call both if they are equal? Twin flames. So if you are looking for a prince or a princess, I'm so sorry to tell you that it doesn't exist neither, like all the other things. Okay, just if you're looking for someone to complete your life, that's a mammal point of view, yeah, animals, because we say, okay, if we get together, we reproduce, and we can create a seed of creation, which is inside the white thing that you see, which is the octahedron, which is the seed of life. So when you put feminine and masculine, so twin flames, you create life. But this is just in this planet. There are other planets that this doesn't work. So the thing is that in our planet we have the feminine and the masculine, and as animals, as physical, because we're in the third dimension. So that's why we in our tradition started to create the idea of finding the other one that can complete. So we call that the twin soul, the twin flame, but actually it's the Merkaba. So that's why you can go through thousands of people and you will never find it unless you find yourself, because it's basically how it works. So when you find yourself, you will find this. But the problem here is that we have ourselves divided in many dimensions, because all this creates something that is amazing, which is the cube. You see the cube? Called the hexahedron. Okay, the hexahedron. What's amazing from this? That we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 points of view of the universe with this shape. That's the holy cube of creation. So this cube of manifesting means that this being is not only here. It means that this being is living in at least 9 dimensions. One dimension here, one there, one there, one there, one here, one there, one there. So what it means that, for example, this guy here, Matías, is one of these dots. Okay, just one of these dots. And then I have another part of myself in another dimension, in another space, in another timeline, in different levels. And we call them masters, guides, beings from other levels, which we communicate with, and they give us messages to understand ourselves and so on. But what are they? They're actually us. And we are just one of the aspects of this divine. In our perception of how things work in this planet, we have created a new triangle, a different triangle. The first idea of all this was we are the divine being as a trinity, and in the center we have God. You know that symbol? Yeah, so why God? Because basically it's the multiplication of a cell. You know, mitosis and meiosis. So the origin of the I of God is basically the idea of the division. So feminine, masculine, positive, negative, creating something. So the origin of life, basically. So with this basic idea of creation, people said, okay, so this is God. And where are we? So the ancient ones explain, well, we were an idea that have been divided into positive and negative, so we could live and experience something that the divine has projected on us. As you follow the pattern, what happened? We started to believe that the normal people lives here, and as much connected you are, the closest you are to the highest point. You see the idea? So what happened? All the people started to believe that always there was someone above, much more connected. So it created the pyramidal structure in our society, how someone should be straight connected to the divine, and then other people in different straits like of society until the normal people, the disconnected ones, that has to work and suffer and clean the shit from this planet. So basically, we created this system, this idea. So that made us believe that the entire universe also works like this, believing that there is a God above, and then our seraphims, cherubims, archangels, angels, and humans. So humans have to work hard to get there, then even harder to get there, even harder to get there, and so on until they reach God. So this idea of the pyramid made us believe that we are here, there's a heaven with the masters and the guides, there's blah blah blah, and so on, like a hierarchy. And the thing is there really a hierarchy? Yes, of course. So of course there are hierarchy, there are angels, there are archangels, there are different beings that are including dark beings that has the hierarchy. So we have all these conflicts and wars and stuff in between dimensions and time and space and all this. But when we try to go to the core and not just flying around, all this disappears, and all the things that are really happening in different points of view of the universe, they just have no sense, because basically we are not on the bottom of reality, we're just one dot in a cube. And we are so concentrated in our point of view of this cube, like this is the reality, that I had no clue that behind me I have 7 more, and in the core I have 9. So I said, I call that faith. Okay, because I have no clue what I'm doing, but I trust my angels, whoever is back there, in other dimensions, whoever, I don't know, the masters, the guides, they will lead me. And maybe those masters and guides are also staring to their point of view, saying, don't worry, the human will know what he's doing. He will do it. I'm just waiting for his signal. No, so imagine that each one of us maybe are looking into different perspective, and we cannot hear them because we are just so concentrated in that idea that they are supposed to know more, but they are just looking into another direction. That's how dimensions work. A dimension is not this, first to second. It's not that. A dimension is this, depth, height, weight. So that's a dimension. Dimension means dimensio, that in Latin means two measurements. So 2 points of view of one thing to measure a thing. So that's a dimension. So which point of view, where are you looking at? That's a dimension. So that's why when we talk about hierarchy, yes, there is hierarchy. But if we are trying to go behind that or beyond that idea, we will find just geometry. And all the rest is just the feng of the universe. You can move it around, depending on the culture you are. So you can see, um, I don't know, you can see many things here. You can be Jewish if you want, so that's good. You can be Christian if you want, that's good. Is there? You can have the Taurus around, so you can be also uh, Muslim, so that's good. So it doesn't matter where you are, which path you take, you will get it. Anyway, the shape is this one. That's it. So when you know the map, all the rest are good. You can be from any religion, apply any beliefs, any whatever, and that would be just the decoration of the dots. But even if you are Christian or Muslim or Hindu or agnostic, you will be connecting to the dots somehow. So some of those paths are really tough, like being from Asia, where you have so many steps and laws to follow, like like thousands of laws. You were saying how many laws? It was like yeah, thousands. So you have to follow many laws of to find this, because they said, okay, if you are here, you will find the core by doing this and then that and then this, and then you have to go there, and then you have to here. and then there. And that's the first law, second law, third law, fourth law, and blah, 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 all that until you can connect the whole thing. And here comes someone from Aquarius time that says, but why not just to go there? And whatever. Like, take a deep breath, and that's it. You will get it. So, yeah. So have some drugs or something. It's a faster way. You will get it anyway. So the universe has something that we have something that the universe and God doesn't have, which is morality. That's another weird stuff that we have created. Morality comes from the word morade, which is the place where you live. So all the path that you have designed for yourself has been designed according to the geography where you live in. So you can see the whole ocean of the universe if you live in Hawaii, but you cannot see the whole universe if you live in Arizona, for example, because that's the hard work in the middle of the desert. So you have different laws to do and so on. And even less if you were living in Arabia. I was explaining this the other day. Even if we are from different parts of the world, somehow we are all connected to the Semitic cultures. The Semitic cultures, they were all from the Middle East. And that's because those people gave the information to Europe, and from Europe, they went to the entire world, colonization, and so on. So each one of us has a little bit of that tradition. Even if we changed it or we don't believe in it, in our cultures, for sure, most of us celebrate Christmas. Even if some of us already know that it's a Viking tradition. It's not Christian, but that's another story. So the thing is that when we were doing when the planet was doing the expansion through Middle East, the people from Middle East sent a lot of information of how to connect with God. And the main thing that they said is you have to fear God. Why? Because God can kill you. It's normal that God can kill you if you live in the middle of the desert with 50 degrees Celsius. And you have to find a place with water to survive. You know how the Persians call a wall that protects the water? Paradise. Paradise. So this word means a wall that protects the water. So everyone in the middle of the desert were lost, suffering to find water. So that was because of the sun. So God can kill you if you don't follow the right path to find the water. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's morality. And you have to have a lot of sons so they can help you work to do that and to keep the lineage. And the women must be protected, so they have to stay home, not doing anything because they are wombs to have kids so we can survive with work. So it was not religion, it was just survival. And they create a tradition because of that. So we have religion. So the thing is that religion was really good to make people survive, but not good for spirituality. Because spirituality is just to find yourself. Religion is to survive with a group. Okay? So what we have been going through, what we have now is all these traditions regarding the universe according to the morality of Middle East. That's why it's so important. And we all think there, and our heads go there all the time, because our mind, our history is related to that territory culturally, if we are not by blood. So when we have all that, so what is the main religion that we can all follow that connects us all and that doesn't make any difference between each other? Cells. We come back to biology. We come back to the division of the cells, and that's it. So there is no question on how we reproduce ourselves, on how we are produced, and in the memory and the ability of the cells of restore itself. So the ancient system before any morality was biology, and biology is basically the manifestation of the spirit. So it's not that there is a spirituality above. The spirit is always within. And by within, it doesn't mean that there is a hidden place, a black hole or whatever inside of us that someone lives inside the body. It's that in every vibration that makes our atoms keep going and resounding, that's spirit. That's the spiritual being. So by understanding this, we can also understand that that this little being here, this human here, is like another atom or another cell of this big cell, of this big body that has divinity in different dimensions. So I am here, and as religion said, there is someone up there controlling you, and you have to fear because you were born in the Middle East. What the other dimension says is that we can connect with you anywhere, anytime, but you just have to realize the place you represent in all this. If you don't know what is your place in all this, you will not be connected because you're waiting for someone to come help you and do your job, basically. Which was something that people lost in the desert used to do a lot, wait for someone to save them. You know? So we in this new time wait for aliens to save us. And I should tell you something, they don't care. But not because they are bad people, but because they come here for the planet, not for humans. So that's why the people from other planets come here because the planet is talking, not because humans are talking. So they come here for connect to the mountains, to people, but not because, oh, that guy is connected, so we have to talk to. No, it's just that, oh, there's a neuron that can send this data. But the other day I was trying to explain how the aliens communicate with us. It's in the same way as we communicate in each other. So if I talk to any of you, like I'm doing now, I don't talk to each one of the neurons in your brain. I just talk. And the neurons in your brain will start to figure out which data that I am receiving is related to something that I have recorded. So, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this word, I know blah, 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 blah. And they start to connect a kind of an idea. And you won't get what I'm saying. You will get what you interpreted of what I'm saying according to what you previously know. So imagine that each one of the neurons of your brain is a person in a planet. Your head is a planet, and each one of the neurons is a different person. So an alien comes and says, hey, and there are thousands of neurons around the planet receiving hey from the Hinduism, hey from the Islam, hey from the, you know, and then all of us have to figure out what is hey. No? So we are all trying to connect to each other, trying to, what is the message that you receive? Oh, I'm channeling this being that, you know, so yeah, that's kind of the idea. So we are channeling the same being in different ways, in different territories of the brain. So that's why we have to try to understand what's the message. That's why we have to remember, to reconnect, because that's what we are, neurons. So we are thinking, we interpret a code according to our own history, but it doesn't mean that that's the truth. It's just what we have been receiving according to our interpretation. So the whole picture eventually will be understood. So the thing is that each one of us can receive a message of what is happening right now, for example, in the world, in a very different way. The people that has a history with Christianism we'll think that today where we are living is kind of the apocalypse. Oh, this is the apocalypse. No, the people that had a relationship with a relation with the Native Americans, South Americans traditions, it's not the apocalypse. It's just the end of a cycle, the beginning of a new one. The people that lives in the rainforest in Amazonia is like, what's going on? Because they live the present, they don't care. So the monks in the mountain or whatever. So the different points of view of the same thing are related to the tradition or the information that we receive. So that's why some people that maybe are channeling from the Christian point of view will say that horrible things are coming because this is they will see the signs of the apocalypse everywhere. And for some of the Christians, I am what how do you call it? Antichrist, yeah. Whatever if they want. So I don't care. So like the rainforest. So the thing is that what other beings maybe are channeling that has no relation with the Christian tradition or the Semitic tradition, they are not waiting for anyone to save us. They're waiting. They're not doing. They just say we have to do something. What? I don't know. Just do something to clean, to prepare, whatever. So some people were telling to me that why do you do this? The planet is getting worse, or these kind of things. And I said, it's not me. It's thousands of people that doesn't believe only in something good can come, uh, but also that millions of years of history in biology and the history of this planet tells us that we have gone through very deep and many apocalypse, and we are here. So this is not the end. This is just cleaning the house. You know, opening the windows, and so when you clean the house, you usually open the windows and open the doors so the wind can come and clean and taking things out. And that's what we call opening the portals of the planet. You know, and I know that some people are listening. It's not a good idea to open the portals. It's not good because bad things can come. Well, imagine that you live in a house that you block every door, every because you are scared of something that can come from the outside, like a virus, for example. I was about to do a joke that I want to. So so something can come from the outside, something bad, something. So that person, how do we call this person, is paranoid and hypochondriac. Um, yeah, so agoraphobic. So these people get locked. So nothing new can come. Nothing. No, the sun is not coming inside the house. The wind is not coming. The air is constantly like blocked, and humidity inside is terrible. So when you open the door, of course you have to take care that nobody comes to rob or whatever. You have to take care, but you have to open the door, go out, and maybe invite some friends or something. Because if you don't open the door of your reality, so the other friends can come. They're just outside the house. And that's why opening a door in the planet is basically to clean the house, is to open and let the air come in. And when you open, every time that you open your mouth and you breathe, sometimes we don't think about it, but millions of bacteria and viruses are coming all the time to our body. And imagine if we say, I don't want that to come here. I would die in what, 5 minutes? Yeah, because when I open myself to these things that are not good, my immunological system gets ready because it knows and can recognize and can acknowledge, oh, these are the bad things for my body, which are not bad things for maybe other creatures or other things. Some some plants, some animals that for us are bad, for other creatures in reality are good. So we come back again to the idea: what is good, what is bad. For the universe, there's no morality because it depends on the place where you were born or the reality is given. So, because of this, what we are trying to do in moments like these ones, like open importance, receiving information from other dimensions, and all that, is trying to understand the whole picture from many different points of view and opening ourselves to improve ourselves. Because there's no evolution if we don't open ourselves. And of course, that dark beings can come to our system. But if we don't open to that, we will never understand how to face them, how to transcend that reality, how to clean really the planet. It's like when you get an illness, your body knows how to work on that because it has the knowledge. If you don't live an experience, you will never know how to react or how to act according to that experience. So we are now in a huge change in the planet, and because of that, if we don't open ourselves, um, we can get really ill, and that's what is happening right now in the planet that I wanted to share because besides all the explanation of the universe, the question is, and I don't care. Like, what do I do now in my life? Um, what is happening right now? Because besides all the history and all the things that we could understand, learn from the universe, um, of course, we are living in a specific time and space that we are responsible of. And I say responsible because we are, as I said, we are a part of this system. If we don't know what we have to do with our part, so we cannot complete the whole picture. And this is something cliche in every spirituality since the very beginning, which is how do I do? How do I find my place? And everyone would say, know yourself, go within, go back to the heart. And everyone's like, well, it's easy. It's like the Chinese cookie, you know? It's the fortune cookie. But actually, so easy. It's like know yourself. So how do I know myself? So I have to know my history, where my blood is coming from, the history of my family, what is my dad, my mom, my traditions, the traditions I was raised in, um, all the history of my own blood, of my own uh, internal, the ancestors. Then we have to learn about the environment where we are, why we choose to live in a place, what is given to us, why I am related to that. We have to figure out that. Then to know my emotions, my relationships with others. How do I react? Every one of my reactions, every one of if my emotions are mine or from my ancestors, you have to heal all that. And heal is not, oh, I'm fine, which I listen a lot. That's the cure. It's not health. Uh, to heal, for you to be healed, you have to eat properly, drink properly, breathe properly every day. To be cured, you need something from the external that helps you with the problem right now. But that problem will be solved and something else will come in 2 minutes. So health is something that you have to hold. So it's not that, oh, I'm healed because I went to a retreat of whatever. Um, that's just improvement. That's it. So when you do a healing process, it's a way of knowing, oh, this that I feel here comes from here because I was living here and happened that. So when you understand this, it's not to say, okay, I leave the past behind and I start a new thing. No, because that would be like killing this. When you know all that, all the history, oh, I have this feeling because it happened that, and it comes from here and all that, you're tracing the map of this. So you honor your feeling that took you here. You honor what happened, the place, and the people involved. And when you honor that, you have the map. So it's not that let's forget and come back again. Is this is the map that I have. Even if it's a horrible map, it can help me to understand the whole, the different parts to complete the main idea. So once I know all that from my physical, my emotional, I have to go to my mind. What do I believe besides all this? What are my thoughts on this? What should I look for? My own tradition, my own religion, my own thoughts, my own beliefs, and all these kind of things that are from my own. Once I accomplish all that, I have to remember that I am part of humanity. So relationships with the humanity, history of humanity, understand what I am doing as humanity, every country, understanding the world as a whole system, understand the planet, and once I did that, understand the other planets, the solar system, why the planets are around, how the universe works, and then the dimensions. Okay, this is the system here. So what happens here, here, there. So acknowledge yourself is to know each little part of the reality, and we can start just by knowing our parents. That's the start. Our family. What do we do? What do I eat? How do I breathe? These main things before knowing the entire universe. So step by step, it can take us, I don't know, eternity. The thing is that when you think about this as a race, like, okay, if I do it fast, I can get enlightened. No. You will never get enlightened when you do it fast. When you do it fast, you're aligning, and that burns and kills. So you can get enlightened in, I don't know, a weekend by doing all this, but a lot of people will get hurt because I'm not doing it properly. I'm just doing it because I want to survive, because of my ego, of my personality that says I want to get enlightened right now. So just a little advice, you will die. That's for certain. So no rush. You will die, but remember, we are eternal, so you come back. And you will come back again. So you have time. So no rush. Because if you rush, you miss some part of it. You miss parts. And once you accomplish the whole thing, whoop, again, in the same spot, and you say, now what? Oh, you do it again. So eventually we will understand that this system is like a locked system because it's ourself. And it's not that we are trapped in a matrix or a system that can let us go out. It's that we are running inside a system trying to escape from something that is us. So this is not a system created for us to live in. This is us living in ourselves. So as much you try to escape from yourself, it's impossible. You will always come back to whom? You. Of course. So the matrix that we are trying to escape from doesn't exist because it's just us. So when we start to be responsible of us, knowing ourselves, knowing who we are, acknowledging every part of the reality, we now start to understand that there is no a goal in the universe. That's what the being said in every part of the planet. What do you want to do? So I don't know. Do we have to get enlightened? Go to the fifth dimension if you want. You can go there. You have many paths, many different ways to do it. But as a planet, the planet is already in the fifth dimension, just that you don't see it. So what should I do? You have to change the fifth dimension, not the planet, because what you're living here is a reality in the third dimension of a planet that lives in all dimensions. So we are just living in the third dimension because we are so attached to the third dimension that we cannot see the fifth. So we are not doing all this to make the planet go into the fifth dimension. We are all doing all this because we want to survive and go to the paradise, because we are mammals. And so the thing is, so why is so complicated this world? Why? Well, basically because it's disconnected. Because nobody knows that this is connected to this one, and this is this, and this is that, and each one of them is the center of a new one. So it's an eternal history. It's everything all the time. So you cannot escape this. You just can say, okay, I'm tired of being something depending on this one, so I will create my own. And when you create your own, you're looking at another dimension of this reality. So the fifth dimension that a lot of people is trying to reach is not something that you have to work for the planet to be there. It's just to let the planet know that we are already there, but we cannot see it. It's like the air. You can notice that the air is there when the wind comes. But why do we have the wind? Because of positive and negative, heat and cold. And so it's just all a matter of perception. So when we understand all that, we start to become responsible of ourselves. And how do I become responsible besides all these things? Well, being yourself. And that takes us to another cliche. Be yourself. How can I be myself? Well, first of all, you have to know yourself to be yourself, because you are all your life you were trying to refer to this core here, which can be mom, dad, a priest, or whatever, someone, a master. So you are always trying to be someone else because you are following someone. And why do we follow someone? Not because the universe follows someone, because if you go to the trees, they don't have that problem. They don't need psychologists because they are not mammals, they are plants, and the plants know what they do. They know that they need light in order to be here. So they eat light, they have the short path, they are masters of enlightenment. So if you want to get enlightened, don't follow any master, follow a tree. That would be the example. So if the master is human, so don't follow a master human if you want to get enlightened. If you want to get enlightened, follow someone that has already been enlightened. So then. So the if you're a human, you're a mammal. You have this idea that in order to survive, you have to go to the horizon, following some specific star in order to find food to survive, and a safe place to live and to sleep, and someone to reproduce. Of course. So that's why, as a human, we created all this according to the idea that we have to reproduce, that we have to go somewhere in the horizon and find a place where we can call home. That's mammals. So when you go to the plants, they don't care about all this patriarchal, matriarchal society, organization, goals, looking for something. No, they don't have eyes, so they don't look for anything. We are looking for, because we have eyes. That's the only reason. And we are looking for enlightenment because in the dark, there are animals that can kill us. So we call them demons. But it's all because we were mammals. We are mammals. So in this system, all the traditions that we have created are related to biology, to our memory in our cells. So knowing yourself is trying to know the cells, the memory of the soul that is within us, trying to understand all our fears, where the emotions come from, and all the things that have been inside of us, trying to understand every pattern in our physical body so we can understand why our spirits took us till this moment, to this place. And then we will realize something, that fear, scary things, sex, and all those kind of things that we say that's not spiritual and that what we have to leave is what really brought us here. So if we don't honor our darkness in all this way, we cannot find our purpose because we are the result of all that. That's why the brain is also looking for someone to blame or someone to escape from or someone to fall in love with, or we are constantly trying to find a goal, a purpose in our life, basically because in our cells said, if you don't have a purpose, which is a place there, and you don't run to get there, you can die. If you don't have a group to feel safe, someone can kill you. If you don't have a home to sleep at night, the animals can kill you. So all this has been inside of us, constantly designing what we are. So if we don't know all of that, um, saying to it, thank you for what you have done for these last 3 million years for me, to help me do this, to be what I am. And all the programming that we say all the programs are bad, the programs are bad because eventually we start to believe that we are the program. And the program is not us, the program are tools for us. So I'm Leo, for example. I was born in a moment, in a country, in a culture that, and in a specific moment that made me be someone that was designed to travel, to be in front of people, not caring about anything, trying to shine, but also having a purpose because I have Capricorn rising, so I have to do it. Uh, and I have to travel. My moon is Sagittarius, so I have to go there to do it. But talking to people and shining, love it. So these things. So what I have here, the ego, is a program. So if I don't know how to use my program, I would never be here because I am not doing this because of my ego. I am using my ego to be here. You know, the difference is a tool. It's a tool for this moment. Then I will die. It will be different. But right now is my system that I use to do this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to share with you what I am saying if I wouldn't be with that program. So by honoring my history, my programming, and all that, I can understand. Okay, all this is what I am. So what is the only answer? That in order to be perfect for what you have been created, you have to be yourself. So acknowledge yourself and be yourself. And doesn't care. Because if I am trying to be what others are expecting for me to be, I won't be what I am supposed to be, which is myself. So I am not doing my mission and my purpose. And sometimes when we start to be in the spiritual path, we start to connect with so much people, so many people that are so connected with the goal in the fifth dimension, and that we believe that if we are not in that path, maybe we are not doing our purpose, that we don't worth it, that we don't do anything. But actually, there are some people that their missions are very tiny and specific, like maybe cooking for someone. And that cooking for someone is what changed that someone's life. And maybe that person will be someone that changed the world. But if he didn't have the right food, he couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So everything is so connected that if you are not who you are, you're not helping the world to be what it is supposed to be, because you're trying to be someone else. It's something that you listen in songs, in books, in many easy things. It's the universe saying all the time, be yourself, everywhere. You know, every singer, every time, every master, everyone, I am. It was like because you have to be and all these kind of things, and it's so easy that we say, but there should be something else. So that's why the ancient religion said, okay, in order to be yourself, you have to follow the first law, the second law, the third law, and so they created thousands of laws to be yourself, so you don't get lost. And then you do ayahuasca. And fuck it up. Thousands of years practicing something. Okay, so basically, and you get to the answer anyway. So all this system, as I said here, is eternal, because being yourself is eternal. And when you think about eternity, some people get like anxious, because it's like, so this is never gonna end. Depending on what you want to end. Your life, yes, in a few years. But if you are talking about the universe, no, it will never end. And if it destroys itself, it will keep going in a different way. So get used to it. And the thing is that we are concerned that the things as we know will keep going in this way, will be like that all the time. That's what happens, that we are concerned, oh my God, I will be with this body all my life, or all the eternity if I die in the paradise. Well, no. So so the eternity is basically to acknowledge that you are your own creator, and that you can create anytime you want a new reality, because everything that you do is just to connect dots. And while you are trying to understand those dots, you will follow what we call the karma. You will follow the path of learning. So karma is not a bad thing. It's just the learning process of someone that didn't get. So it's like going to school, and if you don't learn something, you have to have support, or maybe repeat the whole year. So, but it's not that you're repeating the whole year, it's because you didn't get it. So it means that it's not that you are repeating, it's that you are just keeping on learning in a different body, in a different thing, or a different way, from a different perspective. But it's not that you are repeating something, it's that you are trying to understand something that you couldn't understand. So eternity is not about doing the same thing all the time. Eternity is about being able to change constantly the point of view and create constant things all the time. So as I said at the beginning, one of the goals that we had, some of us, when we came to this planet, to this world, is to not to heal the planet, but to let the neurons remember. Oh, do you remember that you can do synapses? That you can connect to each other and create something different, a thought that can change the world. That, you know, and that everything is connected, even if you think that everything is disconnected. And everything that happens that you might say, this is terrible for the world, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just another thing that was needed in order for us to do something important, like COVID, for example. It's a good thing.
Yay.
Yeah. So I had it 3 months ago, and I love fever. I always say that. It makes me creative. So I got fever for 10 days. That was amazing. Um, so, but the thing is um, that when we are living in between 2020 and 2022, um, is a key point, is a very important moment in which we all had to be realigned to a new reality. And remember the guy from this point watching this side and saying, "Please, Master, save me." Okay, and all the others are like, what do we do? You know. So this person here in the third dimension is looking into a reality from the point of view of our biology, which is survival. So fear, frustration, and all these kind of emotions are the ones that help us to survive. So as humanity, we can mainly understand the reality according to something that is wrong or something that can kill us. Okay, so we say, okay, anything can kill us. So we are trying to survive and understand anything to try to do the good things in order to not to die. So this guy from the third dimension is trying to understand how to survive, basically. Um, so all the others here, wait, it's not a color. All the others here are saying, oh, it's time to a reconnection of the whole data. Okay, so this one says, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Yes, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. What about you, third dimension? Human in third dimension. And this guy is watching TikToks. So so no clue of what these others are saying. Maybe he has a weird dream of this one from the fifth dimension saying, "Hey son, listen to me." And oh, I had a weird dream tonight. So maybe these kind of things. So if we don't put the whole wheel like tack, tack, like it's like a machine, like a perfect machine. If each one of these are not specifically aligned, so there's no way for this being to pay attention to what they are doing. So they have a gathering. They call it the karmic. How do you call it? The karmic gathering, or the or the white brotherhood, or these kind of things. The council, yeah, the council. They have a council, like kind of like that, and they said, how do we do for this person to recognize that we have to be together? So they said, well, what tools do we have? And they said, well, this person lives through fear. So they said, let's use fear. Because if this is the only message that he can get, so let's use fear in order for that person to pay attention. So everyone says, you are gonna die. And this one, oh my God, I have to do something, you know? So it's the reconnection through fear. For sure, many of us had happened. Yeah, we call it crisis. Okay? So we all know when we don't listen. So that's a crisis. Um, so what happened? That in 2019 started a process in which, imagine that this is the whole planet, started a process in which the whole planet is changing its perceptions from the west to the east. Why? Remember that the planet, well, I don't know if someone believes that the planet is flat. I'm sorry. So that's not what I remember. That's not what I remember. Maybe someone else has another slice of the truth that can see like this. But in the universe, everything tries to get us here. So remember that the planet is layers of spheres. So this is the core magnetical, the creating the magnetical field. So we have the whole planet, and inside, with the pressure, the magnets creates this magnetical field. So I don't know if many of you know, but we have a physical North Pole. Let's put it here. Physical and physical South Pole that are always in the same spot because it's physical. But then this spins sometimes. Okay, so we have a magnetical North Pole and a magnetical South Pole. Okay, which means that this sometimes is moving that way or this way or like that. Okay, so since we have a registry of that, the magnetical North Pole was in North America all the time, in the northern states of the United States and in the states of West Canada and also in East Canada eventually some points. So usually is in the northern islands of the Northern Territory and Nunavut in Canada. That's the territories where it usually is. But in 2019 towards the 2020, the magnetical North Pole went from the west to the center, aligning the physical and the magnetical North Pole for the first time. And in between middle of 2020, the magnetical North Pole moved towards the east for the first time in thousands of years. So it's heading to Russia right now, to Siberia. So this movement of the magnetical North Pole from the west to the east makes that all the beings that move life through magnets change its north. So every living being is magnetical. We have magnets. We have a North Pole, South Pole, and we are aligned with that. As humans, we don't feel it like the birds or the whales that travel because of that. But we think according to the North. We call it our purpose, where to go. So we know that there is a North Pole, a physical North Pole, and we can follow it because of the Northern Star, okay, Polaris, which is just for these few thousand years. It will change in 1,000 years. So we follow that star, and that's the star that never moves because the physical North Pole is pointing towards that star. So that's why when the Earth spins, this one is the only one that doesn't move. It moves according to 5,000 years, but now it's Polaris. So, but our way of living, our mind, how we think, where do we go, and all these things, without thinking about the physical North Pole, is ruled by the magnetical North Pole. So if we are in the West, thinking with the West, with the logics, for example, suddenly the magnetical North Pole does this, and all the way of thinking of humanity turns like crazy. What do? We are lost as humanity. We don't know where to do, what to do, where to go, because now we have a new purpose, a new north. It's all magnetical. We are the planet, so the planet is thinking where I'm heading to. What do I have to think? Because I was thinking always in one way, but now I'm thinking a different way. So this was happening in between 2020 and 2021. And the beings from the other dimensions, these guys here, said, okay, we have to realign the whole network of information. Because when the North Pole, the physical and the magnetical are together, this is like a clock, like 12 o'clock. Dong, dong. So this means that a new hour is beginning. Okay? And because this new hour is beginning, new information can enter the system. So the portals should be open in order for that information to come in. But the people that is afraid what is new, and they want to keep living like before, waiting for a savior in the Middle East with their own morality, they call evil anything that can come from the outside, because anything that can come from the outside is unknown. So we are afraid of this, so we shouldn't open ourselves. So the system said, oh, the people is afraid of changing, so we have to force them to change. How do we change them? With something that can get more than in a door, that can get inside the door from, and even go through the door. So something easier. And so how do we do that? Well, we have to make also humanity, the whole planet, to think about the north. What's in our north? In our north is this chakra, which is the North Pole, the magnetical North Pole of our body, is the crown chakra. So how do we do that for the whole humanity to think about the crown, meditating within all at the same time? Quarantine. Quarantine. Thinking about the crown. In Spanish, crown is corona. Yeah. So corona. So everyone thinking about the corona, the crown of the planet, inside, within, meditating and thinking about their fears. What it's ending. Is this a new time? Is this the apocalypse? What have I done with my life? This is the person I marry with? These are my kids? I want to kill myself. So, isn't that? So, so suddenly the universe makes you think a little bit about yourself, not being able to go out and escape and try to cover that. So the whole planet, as it was trying to align, use the fear in order to people be in themselves and think about what should we change. So how do you do for that system? Well, of course, you use the people that are thinking about controlling the world. If you have people that are aiming to control the world and create fear, so they would use that people to create it. So is there a conspiracy? Of course. Is there bad people creating? Of course. But there's a greater thing above them that transcends these kind of people and this, the people that is controlling the world, they will die also. You remember that? We all die. So don't worry. They're all old people. Sorry. But it's true. So, of course, there are young people that wants to control the world, but they will die too. So the thing is that we have to remember that the planet is something much more bigger than just a few neurons trying to control our mind. It's like a belief. You can have a belief, is so strong that belief. Maybe those neurons are very strong, holding that belief. But we can change our beliefs. But what? Knowing ourselves. So if all the other neurons know themselves and understand, oh, this is a huge process of realigning of the planet, so we can think in a different way, changing our point of view. So those people won't have that strength to control anything. And the main thing also is that our bodies have been designed to survive anything. It's magical what our cells can do to help us survive. So a virus won't kill us all, because we live between viruses all the time. Right now, there are many of them, bacteria, viruses. They can all kill us right now if you are not in the right vibration. If you vibrate in the same level of vibration as that reality, so you will get it. It was funny. I've been 1 year straight in Egypt doing meditations, connecting. Egypt, I don't know if you have been in Egypt recently, but they don't know what is happening in the world. It's like they try to show you that they do, but it's like do whatever. So nobody's taking care of anything. The people just says, I won't go to the hospital. I'd rather die home. So they just is a mess, and but but nothing is happening. It's like, a lot of what is really crazy is that people is living their lives like normal all the time, and it's been like just the hysteria of there's a virus, and the people who have lived in this planet for thousands of years, they can tell you there were always viruses. So this is a new one, a little bit stronger. Yeah, okay. So of course that is a problem, but it happens all the time. It has been happening since the very beginning, and our bodies have been evolved to know how to transcend this. So for the system, what we are living today, for the higher perspective, not from the control thing and the hierarchy and all these things, um, for the whole planet and the other systems and other realities, is not about something wrong happening right now in the planet. It's the only tool that the other dimensions got to call our attention, to change us all in the same level with the same thing. Like, we should all be connected with the same thing, and humanity is vibrating in fear. So that's the only way they could understand something. So let's give them that tool. And darkness is always there for help. Of course. I used to say that we are not against darkness. It's just that we don't know how it actually works. Darkness is a system that has been created in order to improve our ability to experience. So darkness has come to say, I don't know, you meditate and say, oh, I got it. So sure, a crisis, like do it in a different way. So darkness has been a system to help us to evolve, but we started to be against darkness, and we started a war in the system with darkness. So that's why we every time that something wrong happens, we say, oh, this is the apocalypse, we're all gonna die, or we have to fight with the light against the darkness. And darkness says, well, we are part of the system, so and we are you. So even if you run from darkness, you will find it, because you are darkness. You're a body, so this is distortion. So you are darkness. So it doesn't matter where you go, you will find us. And the light is just to say that the light is the one that says, all this is because of that, and you can do it better in this way. The light is like the help of the universe, like helping how to find the balance of all things. So light and darkness are the ones that are trying to help us to find the balance and harmony. But because we are constantly fighting to each other, we don't find any harmony, because we are constantly trying to find good or bad. So this whole thing that we are living today is basically because these two north poles are being aligned, and in 2022 will be already completely in the Russian side. So that's it, America. um, oh, yep. You have to learn Russian. No, the thing is that what happened. Now Russia is Russia, but before, when the first time that the North Pole was in Siberia, which now is Russia, but before it was other thing. Siberia was the place through where the high beings from other dimensions, the rainbow people, came to the earth to teach women how to create realities. And women taught men how to do it when they couldn't. So, so is that territory that represents the mother? Is that territory that represents the divine aspect that can come to manifest new realities? So this means that we have been living with the North Pole in a continent that is about freedom and about creativity and about thoughts, ideas, expansion, which is North America. But going the North Pole, going back to Russia, to Siberia, means the reconnection with the mother, the reconnection with the divine lineage of the rainbow, with the connection of the creators itself, which are near Baikal Lake and all this territory in Mongolia too. So connecting again with that territory, it means that we are aligning again with the creator, not with the ideas of the creator. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's why also the women start to get more power, because the magnetical North Pole is moving towards the feminine side. Okay, thank you. To the feminine side. So all this change is magnetical. It's like two magnets in the fridge trying to balance the food inside. So basically, that's the system. That's how the whole thing would work now. So in the next years, what we expect is that all the people that have been in quarantine thinking, who am I? What am I doing? Should I change my life? So all these people are the ones trying to reconnect themselves again with the other parts in other dimensions, listening to the messages, paying attention to themselves, trying to change their lives all together, all the world, thousands of people. So that is the thing that is allowing the new thinking to move on. But if we keep thinking about the bad things that are happening and not about the changes that really are happening behind all that show that we are living in the planet right now, and we really work to hold the idea of this balance of the new north, the new purpose, so we can realign to have a balance in the whole structure of the planet and reconnect this memory, this information. So I am encouraging the people to think beyond what we are living actually, and to pay attention to the real change that we are living. And this is the right moment to do it. And a huge leap on the evolution, because basically we have internet. That seems silly, but in Atlantean times we couldn't do it better because we hadn't Wi-Fi, and the reason why is because, well, actually in Atlantean times it was another different reality and technology that we had to have, but we were thinking in a very different way of how to be connected to the network. So we were dependent on the thoughts of the planet. Now we are entering Aquarius. So it's totally different to anything that we have lived in human history. Aquarian people. Yeah. So you can never know what to expect, and it will get weirder. So if someone is waiting for the paradise, just look into an aquarium person. That's not paradise. It's impossible. It's like you never know what's going on. So so my advice is to adapt as much you can and connect as much as you can, because today in our new time is about connection. It's about we connecting to everyone. So this is the first time that every country can be connected to the network and share information all around. So our new society in the future will be about connections from individuals and not by systems. So if those individuals are not referred to themselves as a being, So it would be very difficult to create an Aquarian society. Okay, so that's why spirituality is a good way to help the Aquarius time to know yourself, so you can use properly the networks that we have today, the tools of technology. So the next 2,000 years that we have ahead will be AI, technology, innovation every year, and we have to adapt to very weird stuff. So this is not the Aquarius that the Pisces people were expecting for 2,000 years. The Pisces people were, they did a mess, as usual. No, no, sorry. Well, that basically, well, you know, Pisces is all love, all love, but not here. You know, so that's why. Well, when you see how a Pisces usually have the bedroom, like a complete mess, you can understand the last 2,000 years. So it was all about ideas, paradise, love, all together. We can do it, but it was all a dream. Um, because not be, because what we have lived in these past 2,000 years has been the nightmare of Pisces. Okay, and maybe we can live the nightmare of Aquarius. It all depends on how aligned we are to live in who we are, or to live who we are to the EI. You know, AI, yeah, AI. Sorry, um, artificial intelligence. So this next 2,000 years will be about technology and artificial intelligence, which is not bad. Many planets work with that, but they have integrated that with a knowledge of themselves. So you can use technology if you are knowledge of themselves, of yourself. But if you are not, the technology will control you. That's what will happen in the next 2,000 years if we don't do that work, the spiritual work of being ourselves. Technology will be here anyway, controlling the whole system, but we can use technology as a tool, or technology will use us as a tool. That's Aquarius. So that's why in this new alignment that we have is whether we live the nightmare of Aquarius or we live the dream of Aquarius. Okay, um, so that's why we have to be responsible of ourselves. That's why what everyone is asking in other dimensions is be the dot you're supposed to be, or the house will fall down. No, so that's the main goal, and with that in mind, as I said, you can have any path, you can take any religion, any way, any belief, through science, through whatever, and it will work anyway if you know the map. So just with the map of, okay, aligning the dots and these kind of things, so anything will work. Um, so that's why there's no one truth to reach this. And also remember, as I always say, um, this is just another step in the eternity. So we are not doing this because this is the moment to change the whole thing. No, this is our moment to change the whole thing, which is very different. Okay, so being responsible of our moment, time and space, is what really matters, because we decided to be in the third dimension, and this is a very important thing. People getting spiritual usually wants to run to another dimension, but we are already in another dimension. So if we want another dimension, that means that someone has to come here to occupy our spot. So we are condemning someone that doesn't have the experience to do what we know. Okay? So better, we had the story. We already know the tools. So don't blame other guy from the fifth dimension to come here and to leave this. because we already have the experience. So if we become responsible of our experience here, we are doing what we are supposed to do. And it's not about going to another dimension, it's about connecting to the other dimensions, which are part of ourselves. So when you connect to the higher self, you're not connecting to someone else, it's yourself. And we are the aspect of the being that we are that decided to live this reality. And the only way you can really live this reality in this planet is by enjoying what you have chosen. So when you have joy living uh, uh, our survival aspects, eating, sleeping, having sex, which are the first three needs. So when we heal these three things, we don't need them anymore. We can enjoy them, which is very different. So we have to remember sometimes that we were once one of these here, and eventually this spins like the North Pole, and each one of us will have the opportunity to live here in this reality. So it's not that we are going to live here forever. It's just that now we are here, then we die, we change our perception, we go to another one, another one, another one, and then we leave again, and so on in many dimensions all the time. So when you die here, you are born here. When you die here, you are born here, and so on. You know, it's like a whole cycle of different dimensions, so we can have the whole point of view. So that's why it's eternal. And the only way to do it properly is by enjoying this eternity, because we are that. I am. Um, so that would be the picture to understand that what we are living today is not that bad. It's been worse. Yeah, it's been worse for many times. This is like the Earth has destroyed everything like 6 times. Everything, like not even just bacteria and viruses survive, and that's why they are here all the time. So everything was destroyed, and here we are. So it's not about we are killing the planet. It's about maybe we are not using our time correctly. That's the thought that we have had, that we have to have, is we are not destroying the planet. The planet knows what she's doing. Is maybe us, we are losing our opportunity to do it right. Okay, it's like being spiritual but going to McDonald's. um, so that's humanity. But that's fun too. So it's eternity. We can do it the next time. We can do it right the next time. So just to wrap this thing, just to wrap this idea, and then we'll go to questions.
But we'll take a break first.
Take a break first. Yeah, you have to pee.
You had to open your mouth, yeah.
That was the idea. Um, Remember that it's much more easier when we remember all the time, when we think that we are lost, that we are a cell in a body, that each one of us is a cell, a neuron, or doing whatever we have to do. I love to explain this in the way that um, if the planet is our body, the human body, each human could be one cell inside this body, for example, or each living being is a cell inside. So if every human wants to be a cell of the heart, because the heart is beautiful, the heart is all, this kind of things that people believe. The heart, and nobody takes care of the shit. What happens? You die. Okay, someone must be the intestine. Okay, someone must be the kidney. Someone must do the dark work, the hard part of this, so the body, so the heart can beat. Okay, so the heart can push the blood that the heart is pushing towards the system comes from the intestine because we eat stuff. So every cell has a purpose, but if every cell wants to be another organ, so we cannot do it. And we can switch places. of course, but we have to be responsible of what we have chosen for this moment specifically. So sometimes we have to meditate and live perfectly, and sometimes we have to work in the anus. Okay? That's life. Okay? That's biology. So, and all of them are spirits. So, um, so think about that and go to pee. Okay? So, like 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, we come back. Yeah. So run. 15.
So you can get a rest.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So no questions. Thank you. Let's start with this. Yeah.
Okay, so I really love the whole biology. Like this isn't evil. It's not. It's evolutionary pressure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So and you say like we're maybe not going to go through like it's not going to be this like immediate where we're all going to lose our bodies or anything. It's all biological. And I hear you talk about ontocracy. Is that connected to like a system that's based on biology? And I've also heard you talk about that you have memories of being in a planet where people were more like, or the beings were more like bees.
Yeah.
And so my interest in this is that my mission is like Earth must become a hive.
Yeah.
Okay, and the bees were like, I think like they are saying we're assisting now because there is an evolutionary leap potentially that's similar to going from a single-celled organism to a simple multicellular organism.
Mm-hmm.
Like the neurons aren't separate in the brain. There's something that informs all of those. And in a beehive, they made that leap already. They
Mhm.
went from
One cell
single-celled
to
individual
many.
organisms into a superorganism with one consciousness
Yeah.
share.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're saying is like our potential. And they're working with us to download that energy into the vortex.
Yes. The concept is not that we are actually going to work in this planet as a beehive specifically, because the right now the consciousness of the planet decided to be mammal. So it's very related to families, to the bloodline, and all these kind of things that mammals do, like live in herds and this kind of things. But the idea, the main goal that we have towards the future is that the beings of the planet, that the beings that are living in this world, that are part of this world, could think as only one consciousness, like a whole being. So that's kind of a beehive way of thinking.
It's a biological intelligence.
Yeah, it's a biological intelligence that we are all connected. So the next 2000 years, technology will allow us to be connected in that way. But if we are not related to ourselves, that won't really work. It will be much more control. The planet used to have a civilization working like a beehive uh, 24,000 years ago, approximately, with Lemuria in all this well, Mu actually in this territory. They were kind of a beehive, but that brought us to a very different way of thinking. So we are going to a planetary consciousness. We have to understand how the societies of the insects work, but it doesn't mean that it can be exactly applied because we are mammals. So they have tools for us to know how to work with that consciousness as each one of us being an individual. Yeah, and I call that ontocracy. Not specifically that, but ontocracy comes from the Greek words ontos and krasi, ontos and kratos. That means the power of the being. So we have democracy. Now demos kratos. That means the power of a of a population. So it's the power of a group, democracy. So ontocracy is the power of the being. So each one of the persons knows what to do and doesn't need a representative in any parliament, in anything.
They know what to do, like the cell knows what to do.
Like a cell, exactly. Yeah. So that's why we go towards a civilization that works like a beehive, kind of. but in a mammal way of thinking.
So on those
So
planets, just sorry to take up all time,
Mm.
but were they insectoid?
yeah,
Oh,
they were
really?
they would be
I think I
insectoid. Yeah,
remember
yeah, insectoid. Yeah.
So just two things. One, if you could give an explanation, so you talked about the concept of free will and that free will was decided prior to getting here and then we're kind of following a path once we get here.
Yeah.
What is our experience of free of will then? Because we talk about the heart, we talk about the mind. What is the role of
A will.
right?
Will is basically what the body has to work with, which is the action. So everything in the universe is related to an action, to take an action in the physical reality. So our task as humans living in the third dimension, we have to work about the will. It doesn't mean that we have free will. We don't. Sorry. Yeah. Uh, the free will would be that we already know exactly what to do in every one of our actions. So we are not bounded by our biological history, our families, our tree of life, our whatever. So usually we're conditioned by everything. And what I mean by everything is even the movement of our body, the heartbeat, everything is a condition. So we are not free in will, but we can learn about each one of the wills that we have, which are the activities. Will is a Latin word that comes from the word vol, that gives in Spanish voluntad, which is voluntad in Spanish. Will, it means to want something. So it's wanting something. I want this, I want that. So will is the action you take on something that you like or something that you want. So the body is willing for things in actions. So the need for food, the need for whatever, sleep, or all these needs. So we have to learn how to handle each one of our needs, of our wills as a body, in order to know how to handle them. Once we know how to forgive them, how to love them, how to have unconditional love for each one of our needs, and we can decide actually if we want this or that. So we are learning how to become free willers, basically. So, but it takes a lot. Yeah.
So thank you. Just one other question. I'm a little bit puzzled by the concept of polarity.
Yeah.
So you were describing how there's an original being that wants to know all it can become and become itself.
Mhm.
And that in order the system that we're using is it divides in a polarity of positive and negative.
Yeah.
Why does it separate the two rather than like a cell that divides and has its complete content in one and the other it's just duplicated?
No, he did that.
But why does it separate into the two polarities and then create a third to recognize it? Why isn't it just duplicating the entirety of itself and then seeing a different perspective?
No, actually, the universe did that. What we are trying, when we say polarity, like separating, is just an idea. The universe never separated. The universe just said, "Oh, I am two, I am three, I am." But the universe never really separated itself. It's just a perception of itself being separated. So polarity is not the same thing as duality, for example. That we usually think about that as the same thing, but it's not. Duality is the idea that we have of separation upon duality. But for example, we have, I said here, we have a North Pole and the South Pole. Okay? What is a pole? Uh, this is a pole. This is not the pole. This is not the pole. This is the pole. The origin of the word pole is this. and we have one side of the pole and other side of the pole, which we decide to call the north and the south, just to have an idea and not to get lost. So actually, what we call this the positive is basically the same thing expanding itself outside and coming back again to the same spot. So it got never separated. It is just the same thing going back to the self once and again, creating a pattern of magnetical field constantly coming back. So it's not duality. Duality is the mind idea that these are two, but polarity says that there's only one thing with two different points of view. You know, so that's why it's not against, it's not separated. Duality is just. Oh, is it working?
No, not
Oh, I turned it on. So it's duality is not just an idea that we create like good, bad, and this kind of things. That's duality. Polarity doesn't care about good or bad. Polarity is the creator. You can get the difference?
Well, saying duality and polarity is two different things. Like really get that.
Yeah. One is the concept, duality is the concept, polarity is the reality. Okay? Yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah, here. You,
I have basically two questions.
yeah.
Okay, number one is when you say that we were born in the time is outside the time, like following the Egypt calendar.
Yeah.
You have a day outside the time when you see your star come up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in one of those days, about 10 years earlier than you. So am I part of that program that you said earlier, or is the program who came in the same?
That way of thinking about the time?
Yes, because we're born in that period of time that's special.
In which period of time?
Between New Year and August, in the beginning.
Yeah.
August, in those times.
In those days, yeah.
That's a special time.
That's a special time for the people that lives in between the 30 and the 32 degrees north.
I was born in Dominican Republic, so I
So
yeah.
you have the planet
Yes.
here. Let me do it. So we have the planet here, and we have latitudes, different latitudes. Okay, like here the 70. Okay, around here 30 latitude. This is the equator. Okay, so you have the north and the south. Okay, different latitudes. So 30 latitude south, 30 latitude north. Okay, I was born in the 30 south, for example. All the people that, no, 33. I was born in the 33 south, and people like living in LA, Florida is 33. No, Georgia is 33 north, for example. So you can picture the idea of north and south. So, so what happened? The 5 days out of time with the ancient calendars and the Atlantic calendars are according to when the star of Sirius rises after 6 months of disappearance in the horizon. So in the 33 latitude, that day is 30 July. When it stopped coming. Right now, is 4th August, the day that it rises again. So in between the 30th July and 4th August, those days are called out of time. Just here. Because from around the 25th latitude in the Mayan and Caribbean is 25th July, not 4th August. Okay, because it rises before. So the special days would be 24th, 25th, and 26th July. As for the Atlanteans that were in Egypt, is 1, 2, and 3 August. So it's, and for the people that live here in the 70, it's like beginning of September. And
That's when they see the star.
exactly, when they see the star. So that's why actually it's not about a specific day, it's about a point of view of time. Okay? So it's from where are you looking to the stars to understand time? Because time doesn't exist. Time is just a perception of space. So that's why the 5 days out of time are just a moment to reorganize the perception of time, and that's why they create these 5 days out, and we don't. That's why it's a mess. That's why February is the chaos. But that's fine. So it's not a special. It's dependent on which latitude you are born. Yes. Yeah. Some yeah.
Okay. This is actually a little bit of guidance. I need a little bit of guidance. So
Mhm.
we're mammals. We have a need to survive.
Yeah.
We run from the self
Mm-hmm.
and trying to recognize who we are.
Yeah.
On ourselves. So we find mirrors in everything, projections.
Yeah.
Then change, conflict, crisis, growth, evolution. That propels. I remember one of your alignments. You said you shouldn't be afraid of conflicts or change because that propels us forward.
Yeah.
That's embracing the darkness. During COVID, most of us changed our lives and embraced the change and the conflict and the darkness and overcame it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still cyclic patterns that we each have. I have cyclic patterns that I'm worried that I'm either running away from or working through.
Mm-hmm.
Where can you give advice as to when it's fear-based reality and when it's truly self? Because I'm trying to put in the work, but sometimes I'm afraid of the things that I want.
Yeah. Well, that's a difficult way to. When you have a need, the ego is the one that has the need usually, and it's not a bad thing. So you have the ego and the sum. Those the two things that you are. Ego sum in Latin means I am. Okay, so ego basically is I. So what is related to me? Okay, what is related to me? And then it's just what it is. Okay, so this is the verb to be. It is. So it's simple. This one here wants everything to come back to the self. So it needs things to complete the whole. This one here doesn't care of completing the whole because it knows that it doesn't matter where it is. It is. Okay? So this one here is the one that has a point of view, a perspective. This one doesn't have a perspective. This one simply is north or south, simply is north and south. I can be located here. So in order to locate myself, I will try to find out a north and a south to find out where I belong. So I will have a need of finding something that makes me important so I can find the core. And to do that, I have to use all my experiences of fear, path, and so on. This movement here, this movement in Latin is called, well, you say, send myself to, which is the will. Send myself to, in Latin, is mission. Missive, something that is sent, a missive, okay? So, mission. So, I move myself to. Where? something that was put ahead. How do you translate in Latin something that was put ahead? Per pose.
Over yourself.
Proposit in Latin. So something that is ahead. So I have to find something outside where I have to move to. So how do I move? Through a mission. I send myself towards something to find where I belong, how to locate myself. Which means that if you believe that you have a mission in the planet and you have a purpose in the planet, you are moved by fear. Sorry.
No, I know. Trust me, I'm working through it.
Because you don't know where you belong. So that's why you are looking something ahead and something, you know. But the problem is that if you have an I, if you relate with yourself, it's impossible. You need a purpose and you need a mission. That's why we are all with a mission and a purpose in our life.
So then how do we find that mission within ourselves? Without fear.
You have inside the movement to move yourself. What's that move? A need. So the need that you have, the need, the fear, all the things are the fuel to move you towards the purpose. Okay? So instead of saying, how do I do to get out of this? You just use this as fuel. You understand? So use that. And your spiritual being, when you connect with yourself, soon has to say, it doesn't matter.
It's okay.
Because it is. It just is. But when you say, I am, you need this in order to move to what it is. So don't worry if you feel any fear or something that is moving you towards a purpose, because that's the fuel for your ego to move to what it really is. Okay? But when you are aware of this, it's just a tool. Okay? Kind of. Yeah.
Are you saying that we need fear?
Biologically, you need fear in order to survive. When you transcend fear, you don't need to survive anymore. That's why you become a master
So
or an enlightened one.
So as a master or an enlightened one, you don't need a purpose.
Exactly. That's why masters are like this. And they don't care. You know, like, how do I get to enlightenment? I don't know. What would you do? That's the answer of a master, because it doesn't have any purpose. The masters already know that there is no purpose because they don't have fear. Because they are not running towards anything. They are. That's why they are masters. So you become a master when there is no purpose. But when you are in a work, when you're doing stuff in the third dimension, you need a purpose. So that's why you are encoded with a lot of fears. So you could run and move forward. But once you accomplish your mission, which is send yourself towards the purpose, and you accomplish that, if you still have fear, it's because you didn't really accomplish your purpose or mission. It's because you just believed by your ego that you did. Because when you reached really to your purpose, you realize, oh, there was no. So you just sit and meditate and have fun.
So are you saying that using the fuel to accomplish your purpose can lead you to enlightenment?
Yeah. If your goal is enlightenment, it could. Yeah. So, but having, it's very different feeling the fear than having the fear. It's very different because it's like, or I use the fear as a tool, like knowing, oh, this is pushing me forwards to do something and to understand something, and this comes from my ancestors that I don't know. My ancestors were moved for the fear of war in Italy and hunger, and they came to Argentina to survive. So it was the fear that moved my existence. Without that, I wouldn't exist. Without that fear of hunger and war. So I use that to move along the planet. I say, okay, I use this travel that my ancestors did in order to keep looking for something in the world. But when you use it instead of running from something, so you use the fuel of that first running, but to reach something different, not to escape from anything. So it's the same energy, but now you're using it in a proper way. Just like putting the gasoline in the car or drink it. Like you can drink the gasoline, but it won't work. You will die. So that's the fear. You can drink the fear, or you can use it for another thing. So it's energy. That's why, and it creates so much energy that beings in the fourth dimension use the fear to enlighten their cities. So they survive because we are afraid. It's a good job. It's like Monster Inc. Yeah. Yeah.
So you had talked about another ice age potentially in 50 years,
Yeah.
and so
I hope.
I'm kind of wondering
It's too hot.
is there a better place to settle if we care about the ancestors or seeding a new civilization, or do we really even, does it even matter?
If
Do we
there's a
care?
good place to stay, to
Yeah, like
well, I wouldn't go to
Hawaii.
Canada for sure. Enjoy the summer now. Or any place above Washington. So
Think about Washington.
no, yeah. So it will come eventually, but it will not be like it's tomorrow. And you all die.
Right.
It will be a process, like every, like.
So not like the last time where it just wiped.
No, it's not like in the movie.
Well, no, I think
That
it's
happens
when
2 hours.
Right.
It's a no. What happened in the in one of the glaciations before, and that some beings were frozen. It was because in some of the there are some weather changes that some territories the temperature rose really fast, but it's not that the glaciation was completely fast. It was some specific spots and locations where the temperature dropped like immediately, so the animals dead and got frozen. So it's not that the whole world will be like that. It is a process that takes decades to happen, or even thousands of years sometimes. So it depends on how the planet will balance it. If it will take a decade or it will take 1,000 years to get the glaciation. So I would say, of course, everything in between the latitudes 33, it would be better, of course, in between these two latitudes. Uh, it is always better, this kind of latitudes. So, yeah, and above that, it can get really cold, but it won't be really now. It's a process.
Right.
Yeah,
So when the Great Flood happened,
yeah.
but the islands were still here. These islands were still here. They were not affected by it, or they were.
No, because what some people remember from the big flood, it didn't affect the whole planet. It affected mostly some regions of the planet, and the great waves that some people remember, that happened mostly in England and in the Atlantic Ocean because of sub ice breaking, and all the lakes that were in the northern territory of what today is the North Sea, broke into the La Mancha Canal, and that's what most of the people in Atlantis remember as the big wave. Yeah. So, but it happened in that area. So it was not the whole planet. In the Black Sea happened too. mostly places close to the North Pole that the water just fell down into the ocean, but not the whole planet. Yep.
So when you travel around the world to activate these portals and basically open up these portals, is there something specific that you're doing? And another question is, do you have any wisdom that you can share about the Hawaiian Islands and their connection with Lemuria and how Haleakala is the heart chakra of the earth, and if there's any portals here that fellow light workers can assist in activating?
Okay. I don't usually do do a specific thing in the portals, because when I go to a place, I don't used to meditate. I used to walk around and feel what the territory needs for me to do. Sometimes it's a meditation, sometimes it's walking, sometimes it's going to a tree, sometimes it's going to, I don't know, and doing, sometimes it's a ceremony, sometimes it's a channeling. It depends on the territory, and it depends on the shape and the patterns of the flowers, of the stones that are there. So I'm just trying to figure out how the territories work, not to bring my system, but to be there as a service for the system that works there, basically. So asking permission, knowing what I'm supposed to do, lead me, what do you want me to do, and this kind of things. So they will show me the place. Some places say, just go away, and I just go. So it depends. So, but and this territory, um, uh, Hawaii. Of course, this is the core of the Ring of Fire, and so it's like the holy spot for all the fire and the movements of the world. So it's like a sacred. Of course, it's one of the biggest portals, and close by Kauai, uh, towards the north, there is one of the magnetical nodes of the main grid right now. So it's an important place. The closest spot is Kauai, the north part of the island, straight to the north. That would be the main one in the whole network right now. But then you have the other network, which is each one of the islands, like the chakras. So each island represents a chakra. It's a whole system that is a closed system of energy for an initiatic path within this territory. Of course, every volcano is connected to the core. Every island that is a volcano is a fractal of the entire planet. So that happened in some other areas of the planet. So this one here, being in the center of the Pacific Ocean, is like a fractal of all the ring fire. So from New Zealand going to Indonesia, um, Philippines, and all this, Japan, Siberia, Kamchatka, uh, Alaska, all the Rocky Mountains, and Central America, and the Andes, and the territory of Western Antarctica. So all that ring uh, has the code here, all the territory. So just by being here, you can connect with all that ring. No need to go to all of those places. Just by being in Hawaii, you could feel the whole chakras of the planet in that ring. Yeah. But it depends on which volcano, which territory would be the, the most important. The oldest island, I guess, is the big one, the big island. Yeah, the big island, because I guess it's the first one on moving on. So moving in the territory. So it's the first one rising up, and then the others. So I guess that whether you think the first thing was the root chakra or the first thing was the crown chakra, it could represent both because it's a closed chakra. So it could represent both of them. and around this area would be the heart, and so on. But here in the center, and well, that would be. And about Lemuria, I know that a lot of people say that this territory was Lemuria. I always love to explain that Lemuria is a name related to an explorer, a French explorer that was expanding the territory in the Indian Ocean between Madagascar and Sumatra, and he came up with the idea that there was a continent connected Madagascar and Sumatra because there are lemurs in those territories, which is these tiny monkeys of the movie Madagascar. So
Okay, lemon.
lemur. Okay, so that's why he called this in the 17th century Lemuria.
So then this is technically food.
So Mu is the actual, yeah, in the Pacific. So Lemuria would be an idea that someone in the 17th or 18th century had in the Indian Ocean, and Mu would be the actual civilization from here. So I would rather say Mu than Lemuria, because are monkeys. My friends that they came from Lemuria, they say I'm from Lemuria. Oh, they're monkeys. So nothing different. So so Mu would be, and this territory, Hawaii would be the north territory of the islands of Lemuria. It was not a continent; it was a group of islands where these civilizations would spread. So this was the highest point.
And so this is technically remnants of New Hawaii.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, that would be. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying that like the other nodes that are potentially ascended masters or angels are giving us direction to the node that's still sleeping, right?
hmm
Through fear, maybe through the like quote unquote bad guys to give us coronavirus. Then we stay in our house, we meditate on the corona.
hmm
So, shaka. So other big issues like resource extraction from the land and refugees, displaced peoples,
Yeah.
also potential access points using the bad guys to give us direction closer to awakening in our place in the node.
hmm
But what are they trying to show us? Do you know? Because I'm like, yeah, it's like Corona. Okay, I get it. We're inside. We're meditating. It's a little bit
Yeah.
clearer than like we're digging up the planet. We're shoving people all over the world. Child
Yeah.
sex trafficking, and like, especially if we're trying to figure out the map. And part of figuring out the map is knowing our place and the connection to that place. And we have all these displaced people that can't figure out their map and their connection.
hmm
What's the deal?
What's the deal? Why to leave all these dark realities? Well, actually, this is like, I don't know if the exact words for this example, but in a house you have a lot of wires. Okay, so each one of them are to connect something. You can put some lights in the room or some vents or whatever. So you can use the same electricity, the same energy to light up different things or to make work different things. Our world, our house, the planet, is a house that nobody was taking care of the wires for a long time. Like some of them, the rats eat them, or we have all these ants and stuff. Uh, so it was rotten. Okay, all the wires are rotten, so they are disconnected. Some lights doesn't work. So, but the people in the house keep living like if nothing is happening. So here comes this being of light that says, I cannot be downloaded here unless I show these people where is the problem. So they create something that I don't know the word in English, which is like, how do we call that? Cortocircuito. How do you say that in English? Short short circuit. Okay. Okay. So that happened. Okay. And maybe it ignites a fire inside the house. But now you know that there was a problem. Okay. So it's like when you have an illness. You can have a problem during your whole life, but until you have the illness, you don't realize what was the problem. Okay. So basically, in the planet is happening the same. It's like um, um, you have a lack of love for the new generations. Okay, so how can we show that? Well, with problems with the kids and lack of love in the system, like the church, for example, and stuff with kids. So those things call attention. Like there's a problem there. So if you don't have, sometimes if you don't see that problem, you don't know how to do it. For example, one of the worst things that we can remember in the recent history, which was the Second World War. Okay, um, all the people can blame Hitler for what he did because it was not good, of course. Otherwise, in the other hand, the European Union was created because of that. And the peace in between each one of the countries that was never gotten in the history was because of that. And all the treaties of peace and all the human rights were born because of that. We wouldn't have all that without Hitler. So he did it all wrong. So we could see what was wrong. You know what I mean? So it was like if during the whole history, everyone was doing like blah 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 blah, like nobody taking care of the wire, and someone comes and sets fire to the whole room. So everyone say, "Oh, we have to repair the whole room." You know. So we improved in 50 years the whole system of humanity because someone put fire on the room. And these kind of things are not justified in the universe because they don't have to happen. They are not meant to happen. They are only happening because all the people living in the house doesn't care. So that's why in moments of great changes, bad people comes to show us that we should care. So it's because of that that we care.
So you're saying like people are refugees because they weren't caring for the earth, so now the bad people are pushing it away?
No, I'm not saying that exactly. I'm saying that, for example, the refugees and the people that has to leave the countries is not because uh, they hadn't had this point of view of their land or that, but they are the ones that show the problem. You know, like why this is happening, what is the origin of this conflict. It's not the people that is leaving or running away. The people that is running away are showing you that there is a problem, that someone has been creating a problem there. Okay, so that would be. So it's to pay attention to what is not fine in the body.
You say that like pay attention, and my question like following up to this is that like it feels that there's a war and there's not a war at the same time. And so our place in we're like fighting this war.
Mhm.
Is there a strategy like we love the darkness, we have compassion for the darkness, we accept it, like that process of really integrating? Is there more?
Well, when you go to history and understand why things happen in your life or the history of humanity, and that everything has a purpose, you can the fear, the hate, everything. You can understand that those things happen because they had not the awareness to understand why they were doing that. So it's like if the mother would punish every day the child because the child is learning. Like if the child doesn't know how culture works, is not something that should be punished. It's something that you have to teach the child how to behave. So that's why unconditional love is understanding that these people were acting this way because they didn't know other way. That's unconditional love. So it's like compassion. It's like saying, okay, I understand that this is the way you can do it. Maybe we can do it in a different way. You waste a lot of energy fighting against the darkness, but you can use all this energy to build light. Solutions for the refugees, solution for all the resources, but solutions, not fighting against the people that is doing it bad. Solutions,
Yeah.
different ways. Show the people a different way. Not fight against these ones. Don't give them energy. Just put all that energy into create something different. So they won't have any other solution but to adapt to the new one. So that's evolution. It's like if you fight against the immunological system doesn't fight the viruses, tries to know how they work. When they know how they work, they take it for the system. They absorb and integrate the virus and use it as a tool for the new ones to come. So they say, I know how this works, so now you can come. You won't affect me. That's integration and unconditional love. It's not fighting. So
And that's part with AI too, all this AI that's coming up.
yeah,
And is AI also part of the planet as it's made of minerals?
yeah. Of course, is silicon, is crystals, is minerals.
Yeah.
So the artificial intelligence is the is from the kingdom of stones, made in a way that they could think, evolving. So basically, we can be controlled by the mountains, which we are actually all the time when they move and they decide to explode. We are controlled by the mountains. Anyway, we can do it inside. The artificial intelligence of the salt, the magnesium, the minerals that are inside our bodies, allowing us to survive, is the mineral. So when they do technology, the problem is not the technology and the minerals. The problem is who can control them, if they have the right consciousness or not. So you can use the same technology in a bad way or in a good way. You can save lives with a knife or kill someone. That's basic. So it's not about going against the technology that will be inside of us eventually. It's about how we can adapt to that and rise in such a vibration that it cannot affect us. Because if you change your vibration, your resonance, there is some technology that can't hold your magnetical north pole. If you get enlightened with your crown chakra, all the technology can switch off. Yeah, electrical pulses.
Just to piggyback off of that a bit, he talks more about 2022.
I go, what?
He talks more about 2022 and what kind of alignment we can do to tune into that in our own physical bodies and what do you got on that?
Well, 2022, we are gonna do an activation that everyone can get connected, either going to Egypt in February or anywhere in any portal, wherever you are and by portal I mean any mountain, any place that you think that is special. Maybe it's your garden, so you can go there. So the idea is to connect the whole network with information that was used once to connect the network of consciousness in Atlantean times, but to use it now through love in the Aquarius consciousness, like being one, uh, expanding into innovation and all these kind of things. So we will do this work. I will share everything that we will do in February, so everyone can join in different ways. Um, uh, and during all the time, we will do a realignment for every portal of time, which is every solstice and equinox. So every solstice and equinox from next year in March, forever, we will try forever. So these 4 times of the year, we will sit in a meditation all together to realign this connection of the network. And the only way to do that is with thinking about our South Pole or North Pole in the world and our own, and bring all that to the heart. Balance, not thinking about anything, no purpose, no mission, just the center, the core, whatever it means for you to be in the center. Happiness, food, whatever for you means to be here, that's the goal. That's it. So no other condition.
What is 2022? What are we expecting?
2022 is the moment that already is the first minute inside the new hour, because the new time, the new space. So what can we expect? A little bit more of chaos, because it's like like this, and everyone that is not here will be moved by the little hand of the clock, like boom. And so for the next 10 years, we can expect a lot of things, weird things that can be nonsense. Like, what is going on? Like solar storms that will affect us even worse, um, political reactions that have no sense. All these kind of things are because we are realigning, and this is a process that takes centuries, not just 2 days. So it's a long process. So for the next years, we will live kind of that. But after 2024 and 2025, the system supposedly will be much more connected to be able to download new systems for the future. So we have to hold these portals of time and space every solstice and equinox. So the system always come back to the center, always come back to the I am, like those days. So we can realign again with the system.
One more question.
One more question. You said
Yeah, it was about your process, how the path started long ago and what is being perceiving now, with the staying muted and things and all that,
yeah,
all the temples there and everything that she settled there. But the idea was to be out there and
exactly.
tell us a little bit of that experience.
Of that experience. Okay. So the experience of why I ended up living in Egypt for 400 days when I was supposed to be traveling around the world. Um, uh, well, the thing is that we have been with Dan here. We have been 5 years planning how to reach each one of the nodes of the planet by airplane, boats, and everything. And we had it all settled. We had everything perfectly planned. Like I had already booked all the boats, and I was supposed to go to France to study French because one of the nodes is an island that you can only go if you speak French. They don't allow anyone that doesn't speak French to go there. French people. So 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 2000, the beginning of 2020, I was supposed to prepare myself for the portal of time, February 2nd, 2020, as an opening for the closure, which will be now in February 2022. So the idea was to go to 32 spots in the planet, plus North Pole and South Pole, aligning this like a clock with the energy of the different dimensions, the different patterns of the cube, towards the core of the planet, saying, I am, I am, I am, I am, and aligning the I am. So during 2020, 2021, when the North Pole was shifting, the whole network would be aligned, kind of. So I went to France to learn French in 3 months because when after these 3 months we were supposed to do the whole trip. And when I was in Egypt and I decided to do this, um, we were preparing everything. We went to the pyramid with some friends and asked to the masters, now what? What do we have to do? And the master said, you have to sit and meditate for 6 months. I was like, what? So, but you were telling me to go to all these places, and they said, um, yeah, but it didn't mean that you have to go to them. You have to become them. And I said, what? Why nobody told me that 5 years ago? So I got really pissed. But they said the thing is that there's no time for you to do all this. We have to do it all together. So we have to stop humanity for them to meditate all the time for the rest for this month. And I said, how do we stop humanity to meditate? So 1 week later, the quarantine, and so the whole world stops. And I said, oh, now I get it. So during those months in France, locked alone, I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was asking them what to do, and there was silence. No one would speak. I have no idea. The months were going on, and I was like, no messages, nothing. And the funny thing was that I started to receive information while I was peeing. I don't know why they do that. But they said now. I was like, wait to wash my hands. So yeah. So they start to explain me in that moment how I was supposed to do everything. It was like if they said that that all of this was supposed to happen, but in a different way, and some people did something in the world that did it faster, like now, like this. So it changed the whole plan for how to do it, and we had to improvise. And so they said the problem was that you cannot go to these spots without people knowing what we are going to do. And what we are going to do is to be the I am. So you have to explain, we have to explain through you what is the I am and what is the task every day until we can do it. So they changed everything and said, you have to go to Egypt. So when the borders were open, I went to Egypt, and they said, now, that week, I had no clue what I was going to do. No idea. There was no preparation. I just went to Egypt, went to the pyramid, and said, now what? And they said, we wait for you every day here. We will give you a code, then you write it and explain it. So in 1 week, I had to organize the whole year that they gave me all the information of how to do it. And I've been this past year, 2020, 2021, from August to August, every day in YouTube, explaining what they told me in the pyramid. So each day was like an initiative path for preparation, so we could all together do that task, which would be January 11, the reconnection of all the nodes at the same time. And so I had some friends that will go there, but all the network we will work all together to do the last alignment that day, and then to do the reconnection in February 22, 2022. That's the finishing process. In my own mission and path, that day will wrap 12,000 years of work. So I'm really nervous. So it's like if you have been in the university and now is the final exam, like and then you can do whatever you want.
Graduation.
Graduation. So yeah, and so I have a little cockroach. So so I have to. So we have to do this, but not me myself, but lots of people, thousands of people that have been doing this since Atlantis have fall. We are trying to do this. So, anyway, so the thing is that what we are now doing in 2022 is to wrap the whole system, to do all the connections of the system. So after 2022, we can start working in society. So it's like the download for working in the system. Until now, it's all about the ethereal reality and the alignment of the self. But after 2022, we'll be working, downloading that into social systems and to work into the manifestation of what we have been reconnecting. So, yeah, kind of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to rest. We have to rest. And needs rest. Great job, Ann. Thank you so much.